Get it, son. This isn't a trash heap. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another 1989batman.com/actionfeatures.net Toy Talk Review, Merchandise Spotlight, whatever you want to call it. Today we're taking a look at one of the brand new Mezco Toyz 1/12 Collective Batman Dark Knight Returns figures. The 1/12 Collective is a new scale and new kind of collectible style that Mezco is introducing. They're basically taking the high-end look and feel and aesthetic of Hot Toys and Sideshow and things like that, and bringing it down to the standard 6-inch size. Great idea, a very smart move. I have a feeling this is going to really catch on because it's blending both styles into one for a better price point than you see with Hot Toys and Sideshow and stuff such like that. There are 4 versions of Batman that are kind of hitting right about now. 2 of them are out right now, and then 2 more kind of coming really soon. The 2 that are coming really soon are the previous exclusive blue, light blue and gray version with the yellow oval, and the Mezco Toyz exclusive version, which is a dark blue and gray, and includes kind of all the accessories from all the different versions. The 2 that are already out are the standard black and gray version, and the one we're looking at right now, the Toy Fair black and white version. Now, since all of these versions kind of have the same thing, you know, even though the accessories are different and the looks are different, I don't feel like we have to do kind of full-blown reviews every time where we go to the couch and we talk about it. So we're going to do 3 quickie ones and 1 full-blown one. This will be one of the quickie ones since it's the black and white version that a lot of people aren't going to be going out and buying anyway. The black and white version was only done at Toy Fair 2015. Less than 100 were made, according to Mezco's Twitter account. They were given away for appointments at Toy Fair and also in kind of giveaways that they're doing on their Twitter account. It's a very tough figure to come by, and I got really, really lucky, thanks to a friend, to be able to get one of these and review it. The box is much different than the standard box, and I have that standard box right here. The standard box is probably my favorite action figure packaging ever, and this one is much more minimalist, because, like I said, it is just a promo item, so there's not really a reason to go overboard on it. Let me pull it back just a little bit. You got this beautiful, you know, sliding panel on this one, and great representations of the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns book all over the place on this guy. And this is just your standard, just kind of white box with some printed logos and such, which, like I said, is fine. It's just a promo item. We've got the Dark Knight Returns Batman logo up front, and, you know, I'm just going to throw this in here real quick. Batman The Dark Knight Returns happens to be my favorite Batman book of all time. So, it's actually my favorite comic of all time. So just throwing this out here, this figure is a dream come true. I'll say this more in the standard version, but I just want to put that out there real quick, since this is the first video that's going to go up. We've got the sort of Frank Miller-esque bat logo in the front. We've got the 1/12 Collective logo down below. Along the side, we've got that same thing, but reversed, where it's white on black. This panel is white, black on white. The back has the Batman jumping logo without the lightning bolt done in white on black. The top has the Batman The Dark Knight Returns logo, and the bottom just has, you know, your UPC code and usual copyright type of stuff. The figure is inside of here. Well, it's not inside of here right now for me. Inside just a standard bubble, or sorry, a plastic tray that separates into pieces, so you can get your figure and your accessories and all that stuff. I have a picture of it all still sealed up inside there that'll be in the info section when you go to look at the gallery, but it's not in there right now. Okay, so that about wraps everything up on the packaging. Let's just go ahead and get the figure up here and review it. And here we have Batman out of the box. All right, let's talk about his accessories and all of the things he comes with here first, and then we'll move on to the figure itself. First up is this kind of neat thing that they've come up with for the 1/12 Collective, and that's just including a Ziploc bag. This is a smart move. It's just a standard Ziploc bag. It's got a 1/12 Collective logo down here in a white space that I'm assuming you could write whatever figure it is. But it's a great way for loose collectors to have something to store it in. You could put, I think you could fit the whole figure in there maybe, but I would say it's mostly for including accessories and stuff like that. But a lot of people, you know, they don't care about boxes, but they want some way to store their loose figures. So including a Ziploc bag with the figure is just a genius move. It just makes a ton of sense. Really cool addition. Next up is the figure stand. Now, I have the standard version already, and that comes with a clear stand, a clear yellow stand with a black logo on it. For the black and white version, it's black and white, obviously, but it's the same stand. Now, the black and white version, as we'll see with the accessories, doesn't come with the same stuff that the other 3 versions of this figure do. It actually comes with less stuff than any of the other versions. In the case of this figure, it does not include the jumping stand. Like, there's a sort of plug-in clear rotted flight stand with this really neat cape clip that you'll see when we get onto the standard version review. But none of that is included with this version since it's a promo item, and it makes sense. But the stand, the actual stand base itself is the same in that it's got the foot peg that actually pops out. Now, there's no instructions with the other version, at least not that I saw, but you pop this little peg out by pressing through on the other side, like the base part. I'm using a hobby knife, don't try that at home. But you push it out, and you can actually probably use the clip to push it through, and this opens up that little hole there, and then you'll be able to plug the flight stand in. So, if you do get a regular version, and you happen to get one of these black and white versions, you want him to jump, you can always plug that clear rod version in here, because this pops out just the same. But without it, you can just have the standard foot peg and stand Batman on there. And it is a nice and tight little peg. I haven't had a problem with it being stuck in the figure's foot as of yet. I always like it when the figure includes a stand, and this stand is really nice and basic for the figure. It's more elaborate with the other versions, but for this one you're not going to probably do a ton of that stuff anyway, so it makes sense to kind of back off those pieces. Alright, so as far as accessories go, the only weapon type of thing that he comes with is the grapple. It's a black solid piece, it's nicely detailed, it's got little sculpted joints and things. It doesn't actually move, but there are sculpted in there for a nice detailing. The rope itself is kind of plugged into it in the base. It's not removable. It comes wound on there when you get it, and you just kind of unwind it. It's a nice rope. It almost looks kind of frayed and old. It's a nice gray color, keeping in with the black and white gray color scheme. Batman uses this in Dark Knight Returns when he's going after the Two-Face's goons in the building, and the 2 cops are following him. You see him kind of whirl it and throw it at the beginning of that sequence. So it's a cool key piece that he uses in the book. As far as the rest of the accessories go, there's no guns. Now, the dark blue version that's available through Mezco's site includes both the rifle and the pistol that are included on the other 2 versions. The standard black and gray includes an interchangeable boot and a pistol, while the light, I'm sorry, it should be standard black and gray, I don't know if I said that or not, but that version includes the interchangeable boot with the pistol, while the light blue previews exclusive includes the rifle and leg pouches. That's with those 2 versions. And like I said, the dark blue Mezco version comes with everything. So, this one is the least accessorized of the bunch. You do get the belt pouches that are included with the light blue version and the Mezco version. This time around, they're in the grayish, a light gray plastic, keeping with this color scheme. There's a nice kind of wash over the whole thing and little silver paint apps for the buttons and clips. Now this unplugs right here in the center behind one of the pouches, the double pouch it is, and then just plugs right back together again, and so you can get it around Batman's leg and give him that look if you wanted to. The same goes for the belt itself on the figure. It pulls apart too and can plug together. I'm not going to do that right now, just because it's kind of tough to get it back on there, especially when you're behind a camera. But this belt does come off in the same kind of fashion. The plug is a little larger, but it does come off. Alright, he also includes an assortment of hands here, and the hands are really nicely done in that with a Hot Toy and things like that, like Sideshow sometimes does it. I don't know if they're as guilty. I know that their Batman didn't have this problem, but the Hot Toys figures, a lot of times they only come with like 4 hand pegs, and they come with like 10 hands, and those little tiny hand pegs are really easy to break, and I really hate switching out those hands. This is really nice in that you just pull the hands off, and the peg is part of the arm. That's great. And all of them are really easy to switch out. They just plug right back on there. It's just a really nice thing to do to make it easier for a collector to have those options without feeling like they're going to break those pegs off. The set of hands that he comes with on the figure are fist hands, but he also includes opened hands, and these all have this nice sculpt where there's a line, there's a seam, where it's a glove, you know, a seam around each finger and down running into the palm, and they all have that sort of stubby look that Frank Miller had to his drawings, where it had like a blunt end to the fingers. I always noticed that about Frank Miller drawings, that his hands sort of have blunt ends on the fingers. And I always thought it was really cool and gritty looking. So he's got open hands, the fist hands that are on there, Then he's got a right hand that's meant to hold the pistol that comes with the black and gray, dark blue and gray versions. So the pistol can fit into that hand. It's got a finger that's ready for the trigger guard. And the left hand that matches that is just a standard grip hand. And that's good for holding the grapple. You can get that in there. It has a nice grip on it. Doesn't feel like it's going to fall out. And the last two sets of hands are the gripping batarang hands, which are my favorite of the bunch. These are sculpted with spaces in between each finger, where they've inserted these hard plastic batarangs and glued them in there. So they're actually separate pieces that have been glued into the sort of softer plastic hand sculpts. It gives them a different sheen and a different feel. They almost have a glossier look than the hand itself has. So you see it's a distinctive piece and not just one solid mold where they've got these things coming out like claws. These look really cool in the figure. They make for some great posing. It's kind of an iconic thing from the comic, those little tiny razor batarangs. The last thing he includes is an interchangeable head. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the figure comes with the gritted teeth on there and includes the closed mouth scowl look. Both are great head sculpts. They've got a lot of nice detailing, those kind of anger lines and wrinkles and such that Frank Miller drew into the face. Kyle Jansen and Frank Miller drew into the face. Both head sculpts are awesome. I can't say one is better than the other because they're both really, really cool. Maybe the gritted teeth look is more Frank Miller. I don't know. It's kind of a personal preference, but it's great that you've got the option. You can display it either way. And the heads are really easy to switch out. I don't often do this on a figure. I'm banging him around still from behind the camera, but this figure is so easy to work with that I'm just going to do it. So we'll take off the gridded head, and you see that ball there that kind of moves up and down? It just pops right back on there. Get it on there. There we go. And it just pops right on. And it's not like you have to go boil water or warm it up, whatever. You just pop it off and on. It's really nice. Well done on the interchangeable parts. I like a figure that comes with options, and the fact that these options are easy to work with without having to, like I said, boil up some water or some such like that. It's really great. All right, so we covered everything else. Let's talk about the figure itself. As you can see, he's 6-inch scale, like we talked about when we were talking about the box and the 112 Collective overall. The cape is fabric, and it's nice and large. As you can see, let me get him turned all the way around here. It's a really great cape. It's got all the scallops cut well. I don't see any frayed lines or anything like that. And it's a nice large size, so you can get it draped around him, or you can fold it over the shoulders, or however you want to do it. One thing I really, really liked about the cape is that some of the, or not some, but all the scallops have a paint app on them. I don't know how easy it's going to be able to make out on this video, but you'll be able to see in the pictures online. They've each got this nice highlighted paint app. It gives them some thickness and helps the scallops kind of fall to the ground. It doesn't feel like they're going to curl up or look funky at some point. It just gives them a really nice weight to get that kind of veined pattern, or almost like there's rods inside the cape or something like that. I really, really like that they did that paint app. Just a really cool touch. Something I haven't seen on a cape before either, an actual paint app on a cape. All right, let's talk about articulation. Oh, I should say that the cape is actually sewn onto this cowl piece. There's a black cowl piece underneath the head, and the cape is actually sewn onto it. So if you wanted to display a Batman without a cape, you'd actually have to cut the sew line to get the cape off of that cowl piece. Also, you know, I think that Tony may end up doing some custom capes on these, I would guess. I would hope, maybe. But I would think that you were going to have to come up with a way to get the cape off, and that's probably going to entail cutting this seam to be able to do some kind of switch-out cape. It'd be kind of neat to see what he would do, though, if he would maybe make the cape go under that cowl piece or go above it. I don't know. Okay, articulation. At the ankle, he has a rocker that goes back and forth, and then a pivot. I'm going to back this camera up just a little bit because I'm going to be pulling him up and down. There we go. It's got a pivot, and then it's got pivot side to side, like the rocker ankle, and then it hinges up and down. And then he's got a swivel where the boot meets the shin. And this actually, if I'm not mistaken, should pop off. Yeah, so you can pop this boot off. And if you do get the black and gray version, you could probably put the black boot on the black and white version if you happen to have one, if you wanted to go, you know, and do some more things with this black and white version. I don't think a lot of people are going to have it, given how many there are, but the option's there. He's got double jointed knees, so he can get some really cool crouched poses and, you know, jumping poses and things like that. Then he's got a swivel at the top of the hip. Now some of these joints, I'm going to have a tough time telling exactly what kind of joint it is because it's obviously covered by the suit, but I'm just going to kind of feel my way through. So he's got a swivel at the top of the hip, and then what feels like a ball joint inside there. It may be a hinge and pivot, but it feels like it's a ball joint. Then he's got a, let's see here. It feels like he's got, yeah, a waist joint there, and then a ball jointed torso. So he gets a lot of movement on that chest area. And the belt isn't too restrictive for all that either. You can get a lot of cool poses going on. The underwear is actually a separate piece, so you got to be careful to kind of keep that belt down on the underwear piece. Otherwise, he's going to look like he's got some major old man pants going on. The shoulders can pivot forward and back, and they also are ball jointed all around, so you can get going forward and kind of hunching and going all the way back. You can get up and down. This is the only time where I felt the suit may get a little more restrictive in that you get a little bit of pulling here, and he gets kind of a wing thing going if you get too many poses going on the shoulder, if you stretch it up too high, but he can do some great poses without it feeling like the suit's going to look funky. He's got a swivel here where the shoulder meets the bicep, and then he's got a hinged elbow, and if I'm not mistaken, it feels like it's a double hinge elbow. You see, yeah, because I'm getting movement here at the top of the elbow, and I'm also getting movement here at where the glove meets the elbow. So you're getting a double joint there. It's a little tougher to move that one than the knee just because the gauntlets, the wrist area of the glove is a little more restrictive than there is anything down here to restrict with. But, you know, that's the name of the game when you got a glove right there. The glove upper portion does swivel around, so you can get that posed any way you want to pose it. We already talked about the wrist a little bit, but it is a ball joint. It can pivot back and forth and rotate. So you can get the fist to go kind of up and kind of going like that. Or you can go in towards the arm. Just, you know, make sure you've got the plane where it's moving on the pivot going the right way, and you can get lots of cool poses out of that wrist. We already talked about the head when we did the interchangeable thing, but it moves up and down, and then it moves around inside that ball. So that covers all the articulation. I want to talk about the suit a little bit here. We did a little bit when we talked about those underwear piece, but the suit itself is really well done. Like I said, this is the black and white version, so there's not a lot of color going on here. There is some nice shading on the belt, just like it was on the leg pouches, and there's some nice shading in the face too. But the suit itself is all a gray color. I'm going to bring up the standard version, just so you can see that they're pretty much the same thing, other than the belt and the head. So you could conceivably make the black and white version if you just wanted to repaint the belt and repaint a face. You could have this version as well. The suit feels like it's all one piece on the gray. I didn't see any kind of fray lines. I wasn't worried about any kind of pulls or tears as I was moving the figure around. I didn't see anything running. It has a nice feel to it. It's a thick material, which is perfect for Dark Knight Returns. The tampo or decal, the thickness, has a nice kind of felt feel to it. I don't feel like that's going to crack or go anywhere anytime soon. Just, man, I'm just totally pleased with the quality on this figure. It's just really, really great across the board, man. Articulation, the outfit, the accessories, the sculpt, everything about it is just really, really well done. They really knocked it out of the park, and I can see a lot of their companies are going to be rushing to do this style as well. We don't really need to have him on this anymore because we're going to do some size comparisons here. First up, we'll do him next to the DC Collectibles version of the Dark Knight Returns Batman. You can see the size is pretty close on that. And then we've got the Mattel version. We'll put him in there. So, you know, they're all roughly the same size. We've got hunched over DC Collectibles Batman there. We got a little more, you know, the same stance with these two. But the scale is there. I mean, you can interchange this guy with other 6-inch figures. He'll kind of make them look kind of poor by comparison, but you can still do it. All right, let's get Carrie Kelly in here, since we want to do the rest of the DC Direct guys. Oh, come on, Carrie, don't... This is always a problem to get this figure to stand. Stay right there, Carrie. Looks great next to the Carrie Kelly Robin. That is one figure from the DC Collectibles line that it's worth picking up, because there's still no telling if they're going to do a teenage body until they can figure out more uses for it. Oh, sorry, Batman. This Joker will not stand for anything, so I'm just going to have to stand him next to him and hold it. As you can see, the Joker is too big to really work well with this figure. Joker, in my opinion, is a little taller than Batman, but this seems a little too much. He seems a little too big compared to Batman. But I think Carrie Kelly works, and I think that Superman kind of works. Yeah, you could say Superman's a bit bigger than him. I think that works. We may end up getting Superman or Joker from this line eventually, and that would be cool. But for now, you can definitely plug in that Carrie Kelly and feel just fine about it. One more time, let's put these two versions together here. Now, we are going to be reviewing this version soon, the standard black and gray version. The other versions are on their way. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't know if there's such a reason to do a couch portion for each one of these versions, because we can kind of give all of our thoughts from from Blaze and such in one video. So we'll do these kind of quickie versions for 3 out of the 4, and then we'll do our full tilt couch review for one of them. I'm not sure which one yet, but we'll do it for one of the releases. So I guess it's going to wrap it up on this video. We won't do the couch portion for this version, obviously, because it's just a black and white release. But you can hit the info section to check out pictures of this release, comparison shots, all that stuff, some cool, riding on horse shots and such like that. Info section, I'll have a link, and I guess that wraps it up, and we'll see you guys next time.